Welcome to Frontier Behavioral Health's Real Recovery, Real Change. And now, here's your host, Ashley Carroll.
I'm Ashley Carroll. Welcome to Real Recovery, Real Change. Tonight, we will meet Stevie Caudill, your typical Eastern Kentucky boy who loved to hunt. Stevie would lose that desire and replace it with addiction. That would consume his life and cost him his freedom. Then we will meet Peggy Goble, a young lady who someday wanted to be a veterinarian, but her life would change direction and it would lead to a life of addiction. First, let's meet Stevie Caudill.
As a kid, I used to love to hunt, fish, man, like just a typical holler boy. That's all there was for us to do, you know. There wasn't many neighbors up in there, just two other ones, boys my age. And man, we would daylight to dark when we could in the mountains, squirrel hunting, whatever we could kill we would, dig ginsengs. That's what it was back then, you know what I mean, for us. I always wanted to be a game warden. Like, that was always my thing. You know, in class they'd ask, what do you want to be when you grow up? And that's what I wanted to do because I love the outdoors so much. And it was just like, I was passionate about it. Like I said, I stayed in the hills, the mountains, doing something all year round. So I know that was about the only profession that I could see that would keep me there. So my freshman or sophomore year, I just clicked with the wrong people, got in with some females that I just kind of blended into their lifestyle, man, and started doing drugs. And started out with pain pills, cocaine, maybe a little beer, because, you know, my dad was an alcoholic for, all my life. And my mom wasn't. She tried to keep everything together as much as possible. But my dad suffered from this addiction too, man, and like, he never would admit that. You know, he always thought it was normal. Like, work, come home, drink you some beer, go to bed, do it all over again. He didn't see no problems with it, so that's kind of the way I was taking it at that point. You know, really ain't no problem, you can buy it, it's legal. We don't hurt nobody. I think that a lot of my dad's problem was anxiety, depression, some mental health issues and like the other stuff, like the addiction or whatever, it never was talked about in those circles, around those people, man. I guess they thought it made them weak. But my dad, he suffered really bad with depression and anxiety, and I think that he self-medicated a lot with alcohol. The more I learned, the older I got, and the more I experienced it myself, I could see it in him. He finally, at the later stages of his life, before he died, would admit things like that, like his anxiety and things that had bothered him. Back then, everybody did drugs, man, and cocaine was big at the time. So it was just one of them things, man. I just got sucked in. I didn't know that myself that I was an addict at the time. I didn't know what kind of beast I was unleashing. You know, so, you know, we would get high in the mornings on the way to school or something and go all day and maybe not even on the rest of the night, and then all over again the next day. We party on the weekends. Kept it together until, you know, got a DUI. I was 16. They sent me to rehab in Bowling Green and stayed there like 30 days, I believe. And then after that, man, it was just one to the next, jails or institutions or whatever. It started consuming every minute of my life in some form or another. Them people would show up. You know, if I had something planned, say with my grandpa to go ginsenging, he loved it, did it for 50 years. I would just blow him off, blow my uncles off when they was wanting to go squirrel hunting, or my brother when he was wanting to go on the mountain or something. I would just blow him off and just go with them, and eventually I just I don't know if I lost desire in it, but I just wasn't focused on it anymore. I didn't know a thing about addiction really like I do now. And I seen some people in there like far worse than I'd ever been in my life. And I didn't compare myself to those people. I didn't think that I had that disease that they kept talking about, but little did I know I did. Wake up in the morning, whatever I was doing, do it, mainly opiates. Back at that point in time, I wasn't injecting them, I just snort them. Go to work hour or two, do another one. Same every couple hours if I had them. If I didn't have them, I would leave work to go find them. But yeah, that's a typical day, and then come home, eat, pass out. I was out partying with the wrong people again. We was broke, didn't have no money, and we robbed a house, got some money, got high, and then I was arrested 2 days later. Never was raised that way, you know. I was raised always to be honest, never take nothing that didn't belong to you. Like, my mom was like one of them parents, like if she knew you stole a piece of gum, she was taking you back to that store. You was apologizing, giving it back, and then you was getting whooped.
Were you embarrassed?
Yes. Got 5 years sentence out of it, and I did like 2 years, got out on probation. For me, I've got to learn the hard way before I learn anything. Hard head, like, it's sad but true.
I'm a mom just like you, and I have a son that's fallen into the grip of opioids. Do I see my son as a bad person, a criminal, a drug addict? No, I still see him as my son with a tough behavioral problem that can be treated. That's why I wanted you to know about Frontier Behavioral Health. They see your family the same way. They treat the behavior and send the person you always knew back to you. Call them at 606-297-1501. Real recovery, real change. Frontier Behavioral Health.
Real Recovery, Real Change continues with Ashley Carroll.
Stevie has completely changed and lost his freedom, but the worst is yet to come.
I would use drugs for like 2 weeks or 3 weeks, and then you take a week to clean up before I had to go report, and then eventually it just got to where I would go 2 days prior before I started to clean up, and then I got caught. Made it through 60 days of treatment. I actually located myself to Williamsburg. Got a job with the Christian Appalachian Project. Was working good, loved my job, man, love helping people. And then actually got into a relationship with a female there, good girl. And then after like 6 months, I slipped back off. If I can remember correctly, it was just a stressful day. I had moved around an area in Williamsburg where there was several other addicts that I know that come through the same program, and they had fell off. And I kind of started hanging back around them. And eventually, you know, it was like, I thought, well, I can do it once, unwind, I'll be all right. You know, I don't have to pick it back up, but the thing is, once you pick it up, you're not letting it back down willingly. Like something's got to intervene for me. And at this point in time, OCs was big. I started injecting them, and then it was just like a downward spiral, man. I would say I stayed out there probably a year, and then ended up catching another charge, a big charge. I robbed a jewelry store, and just to support my habit, you know, and got 10 years out of it. And at that point in my life, I was used to like regular pain pills. Like I said, a beer every once in a while. But when the OCs came along, it was a totally different beast, like something I'd never had in my life. It was awesome at first, I won't lie, but it took me somewhere I didn't want to go. And that was taking other people's stuff that they'd worked hard for their whole lives and piss it away in 10 minutes. I just lost hope. I don't know why. I believe a lot of my trouble was I like to self-medicate because I do have a lot of anxiety problems. It does run in my family. And when things would come up in my mind, I could just get high and they would be gone. So I believe I self-medicated for the most part. But like I said, I had no program of recovery. Out of everything that I'd went through, I'd never learned anything to keep myself clean and sober. Really made no real commitments to God. You know, just use Him as a get out of jail free card. And that's all I've ever done until now. The lowest point was I lost my dad last year at May 17th. We was at my home place and we was partying, me and my brother and my dad. And at that point I was starting to do fentanyl. And my brother was doing meth, and my dad had never did it before. So he wouldn't hush until he begged us to try it. He said, if you're going to do it, I want to see what it's about. So we give it to him. Then I wake up the next morning and I go out to get some more drugs. And next thing you know, my brother's calling me. He's dead. I just found him dead. He was in the floor. And like, I seen him that morning and I didn't realize anything was wrong because when my dad got drunk, he would pass out anywhere at that point. And yeah, that was my lowest point. Because I guess I felt some kind of guilt about that, giving him something. And I don't know if it killed him. I don't know if it helped kill him or influenced it in any way, but I knew he had blood pressure problems, and when he got on those big drinking spells, he wouldn't take them correctly. So I really don't know, but
I'm a mom just like you, and I have a son that's fallen into the grip of opioids. Do I see my son as a bad person, a criminal, a drug addict? No, I still see him as my son with a tough behavioral problem that can be treated. That's why I wanted you to know about Frontier Behavioral Health. They see your family the same way. They treat the behavior and send the person you always knew back to you. Call them at 606-297-1501. Real recovery, real change. Frontier Behavioral Health.
Real recovery, real change continues with Ashley Carroll.
Now, Stevie feels responsible for the loss of his dad, and he's about to come as close to dying as possible.
Probably 3 months after he died, I overdosed in my truck. And just thank God somebody was coming home from work that night. And the holler I live in never gets any traffic after 9 o'clock. It's all old people. But this guy, that my neighbor's granddaughter was living up there, and her boyfriend worked third shift and was coming up there. And I'd passed out and run in the ditch right on the main road, and he found me. Tried to wake me up, couldn't. He called my family. They live right there next to us, and they couldn't wake me up. And finally the ambulance came, and they Narcaned me 7 times. Finally brought me back, took me to McDowell Hospital. I kept ODing. After the Narcan would wear off a little bit, they give it to me intravenously, and finally brought me back, and I was in ICU. It was miserable. Had a light stroke during this time. I guess from my heart almost stopping, I don't know. But got out of treatment, or got out of the hospital. My mom, Casey, lawed me, and here I am. I hated everybody for doing me that way. You know, they come up on me all at once. I didn't know, having any idea they had done it. But hindsight's 20/20. They saved my life, and that was God done for me what I couldn't do for myself. He knew that it took that to get me off of that path, or I would have been dead. I know I would have. I wasn't lying to myself or anybody else at that point. I had truly got so much pain in my life and give so much pain to the ones that I loved that I knew that I had to do something different. And I knew that with God's help I could do it. I not only get to live around people in sobriety and recovery, I work at Frontier. I've worked here for 6 months. I've got almost a year clean now. And I get to help people every day. I'm not part of the problem anymore. I'm actually living in a solution. I'm very spiritual today. I wouldn't say religious, but I am spiritual. I talk to God daily. And that's where I'm at today, man. I'm happy. I've lived a lot of bad years, so hopefully I can do some good in what I got left. And you know, if that's helping somebody that was just in bad a shape as I was, it'll all be worth it. You know, but I do not want to go back to where I was. I don't want the misery that comes with it. And that's where I'm at today. Reach out, get help. There's always somebody to listen. Like, you do not have to suffer in silence anymore. Like, we're trying to break the stigma. Get out there, get help. It's everywhere.
Stevie is now clean and giving back to others. He has a future with real recovery, real change. Now, let's meet Peggy Goble.
I was raised in Ruralton, Kentucky. I had a great mother, great father. They raised 6 of us kids and 4 whole sisters, 2 half. They raised us great. I mean, I had a great childhood. It was always my mom and dad and all 6 of us together. Always at Christmas, always at Thanksgiving, any traditional thing like that, we was always together. I've always wanted to be a veterinarian. I've always loved animals. I've always took as many animals as I could in. My dad didn't like it, but he was a fox hunter. But he liked his dogs outside, and I wanted all my dogs inside. But I always wanted to be a veterinarian. I'd always hang around my friends, and they would talk about smoking weed. They would talk about, you know, doing a pain pill or something, and I wasn't grown up like that. I didn't grow up to hear that stuff. My mom and dad didn't do anything like that. And then when I got into high school, I got with my daughter's dad, and he smoked weed. So I started smoking a little weed at the time. No big deal at the time. It was, you know what I mean? It was no big deal. But that's when it kind of took a little turn. It was just me and my dad and my mom at home. My dad was sick. He was diabetic, high blood pressure. And we come home one day and found my dad dead. He had a massive heart attack. A couple months later, I moved in with my sister. She had left her husband. She had always been on somas. She had always been on pain pills. She had always been on everything. So I moved in with her. And my dad passing really traumatized all of us. It changed our world.
I'm a dad just like you, and I have a daughter that's fallen into the grip of opioids. Do I see my daughter as a bad person, a criminal, a drug addict? No, I still see her as my daughter, with a tough behavioral problem that can be treated. That's why I wanted you to know about Frontier Behavioral Health. They see your family the same way. They treat the behavior and send the person you always knew back to you. Call them at 606-297-1501. Real recovery, real change. Frontier Behavioral Health.
Real recovery, real change continues with Ashley Carroll.
Peggy has entered into a bad relationship and now she has lost her father. Her next move will just make things worse.
I was miserable. I was 18 and I was miserable with life. Life was, it threw a curveball that we never thought. I thought my dad was Superman. Nothing would ever happen to my dad. I was very lost. Me and my sisters we partied every night. We went to bars every night. That's when Marlowe's was in Pikeville. We went Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday nights. 4 nights a week. We was always at a bar. Always high, always on something. I feel like I was trying to fill a void in my life that I couldn't fill. I thought drugs filled it at the time. I thought drugs just filled that void for me. I tried pain pills, and I remember sitting in a bathtub, didn't even hardly have no water in it, and I was praying for God to take that feeling away from me. I prayed, Lord, if you let this go off of me, I'll never do this again. I'll never do this again. When it went away, I was okay. I waited a couple weeks, and I tried it again. I thought I had control over my life. I thought I had control of everything. I didn't realize how bad life had spiraled out of control. I didn't realize how bad it was. When I was on pain pills, I had a couple friends that was shooting dope, and I was like, I'm not that bad. I don't have a problem. You know what I mean? My problem ain't as bad as theirs. I knew at that time, people can't really tell when they change, but I knew I wasn't me no longer. I knew I wasn't the person that God meant for me to be. We moved from where we was, where we went from cocaine, we moved from where we was. We moved in with another friend, and him and his woman was shooting up. So me and her, you know what I mean, we started hanging around a lot, and she got me, I just had a baby. I was pregnant, and I just had a baby, and I was getting me an apartment, and I had me a money order to pay for my electric to be turned on. And she talked me into cashing it in and buying an Oxy. She was like, it's the best pain pill you ever have. It's the best thing you ever, ever. I cashed it in. I tried shooting up for the first time. That's something I said I would never do. Never, ever, ever, ever. I thought that was disgusting. I thought it was awful. I was just running the roads with my sister, staying with friends, never had a care in the world. Never cared for myself or nobody else at the time. All this time I was using. All this time I was going down the wrong road. And I got to where two of my sisters had passed. The one I was using with, she'd passed. Next to the oldest sister, she'd passed in a car wreck. Now my mom has passed. So I've had all my family, you know what I mean? I've got one sister and one brother left. They are both on drugs. They don't want nothing to do with me. They put me on the road. I was homeless. I had nobody to turn to, nowhere to go, nothing. I mean, I was still figuring out a way to get high, but it wasn't fun no more. And I remember being out one day, and I remember the law come to me, and he was like, have you eaten today? I'm like, no, I haven't eaten today. Would you like something? I said, absolutely. He went up and he got me something from McDonald's, and he come back and he said, walk over here, I'm gonna pray over this for you. He prayed over that food and he took my hand, and that changed my world. That changed my whole world. Showed me some mercy. He had arrested me many times. Many times he had arrested me. But that day, he didn't, he showed me love that kindness that nobody had showed me in a long time. And he helped me.
I'm a dad just like you, and I have a daughter that's fallen into the grip of opioids. Do I see my daughter as a bad person, a criminal, a drug addict? No, I still see her as my daughter, with a tough behavioral problem that can be treated. That's why I wanted you to know about Frontier Behavioral Health. They see your family the same way. They treat the behavior and send the person you always knew back to you. Call them at 606-297-1501. Real recovery, real change. Frontier Behavioral Health.
Real recovery, real change continues with Ashley Carroll.
The kindness of a police officer has given Peggy the courage to ask for help. Her love for animals will be the jump start to a new life.
I've always known God was there. I've always known He's been there. But I didn't realize how much He was there until a couple weeks later, like 2 weeks later or something. And I went up to Frontier on the Parkway. I was getting Suboxone from there. I'd been getting Suboxone for months from there. And I had a woman there ask me, she's like, do you want to go to rehab? Let me take you to rehab. I had my dog with me at the time. My dog was with me this whole time. But she was like, you don't need to have your animal out here doing this. You don't need to be out here doing this. You look awful. I was probably 115 pounds. She's like, you look bad. You know, you need to go. And I was like, no, I don't want to go. I can't go without my dog. She called Randy, and Randy decided to let my dog come with me. So that was the whole change of my whole life. The Lord put Randy in my path and Frontier to where it changed my whole life. I was in rehab for about 2 months, and they was bringing us to church. They took us to church every Sunday, and I started praying. I kept praying, and I'm like, Lord, I can't go back out there. I can't do this no more. You know, I've been doing this for 18, 19 years, and I can't do this no more. I'm tired. I'm tired. And I went up to Randy and I'm like, look, I'm 37 years old. I've never had a job in my life. I've always had somebody to take care of me. If you give me a job, I will scrub the toilets with my toothbrush. And he said, I will find you something to do. And from that day on, I was like, this is going to be the new me. This is going to be me. I'm going to do right. I'm going to live my life right for once. I've almost got 4 years clean. I am married to a wonderful, godly man. I couldn't ask for a better life. I've got a job. I've been with Frontier for 3.5 years now. It's amazing. It's amazing what the Lord and what Frontier has done for me. I see, as long as I put the Lord first, He'll never put me last. He'll always. I see me having a home. I see me having my own job to take care of myself. I see me having a loving husband that loves me and that stands beside me. There is help. There is help. There's a phone call. They're a phone call away. It's just reach out, ask for help. That's all you got to do. I mean, if you want it, you'll do it.
Today, Peggy is 4 years clean and happily married. She is working to help others. Stevie is working on his future also. There can be real recovery, real change. I'm Ashley Carroll. Thank you for watching.
This program has been a production of Frontier Behavioral Health. For immediate help, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, dial 606-297-1501. 606-297-1501. Special thanks to the Redemption Chapel Church in Paintsville, Kentucky, for providing production assistance as a backdrop location for today's program. Redemption Chapel is located at 986 Broadway in Paintsville and welcomes all who come expecting to our morning service each Sunday at 11 a.m.